do that, did they? They ran the ball. Anyway, do you want to go through the first of the fan reviews?
Yeah. So Sarah says, a depleted team playing a team with almost as many out meant chance for a number of youngsters to debut. Harris took his try nicely. Massey continues to improve every week, and it was good to have Tag and Payer back. It's a worry when your lowest squad number in your three quarters is 28. Maludi runs like a whirlwind, constantly spinning.
He's another player who's trying to play try to tag rugby league at the Super League. Rich Langley, as the nation celebrates the royal marriage and Hull's continued dominance of the only city derby, the one dark cloud is the ever-deepening injury crisis at the KCOM. The young and older debutants stood up well and provided a bright spot, which bodes well for the next few matches. Glad to see both teams remembered the derby plot and got out the handbags even if they were late.
So Phil said, this was a tough game for us and KR made it a hard game to control. KR scored first and I did think it's going to go downhill and see a repeat of last year's embarrassment. But luckily I was proved wrong as FC struck back and then kept on top of the game with some good tries and moderate defence. Just to shadow the win was Josh Griffin in a leg brace. #7 in a row.
Tim G Radio said, only caught patches of this whilst wandering around Birmingham New Street. Time to knuckle down and start planning how we're going to get the wins we'll need in the qualifiers, otherwise it's back to the championate. Atkin needs a run in the halves. Used as a bit part hooker is a waste. Also, that shirt is crap. It should be erasured. Nice pun, Tim. Nice pun.
Nice.
It's hot on that sort of stuff. Right, yeah. So in terms of the game itself, Hull KR were the better team until they scored, I thought, and it was good.
Well, yeah. I mean, you've got to say, I mean, what a way to kind of to get into the game. The kind of the look with the ricochet off the post. I
Well,
mean,
yeah.
that's that you can talk about your injury crisis and whatever, but that's a slice of good fortune because 99 times out of 100 that straight out the back.
It was definitely going dead. I'm sure. I mean, it's a clever ploy to kick back across the grain. I'm not sure you're normally doing it to hit the crossbar and land in the hands of a prop forward, but it's a clever
Maybe
play to
not.
try. And Jake Connor's got the skill to, in his kit bag to try all those sorts of things. But he definitely overcooked the kick. I'm sure even Jake Connor wasn't aiming. The entertainer that he is, that the ceaseless relentlessness of his willingness to get things stirred up. I'm sure he wasn't going for the crossbar. He was kicking towards the post deliberately. That was
Yes.
clear. But there's even though I'm sure he probably wasn't. There's at least a sizable chunk of me that really hopes he was doing it on purpose and he was aiming for the crossbar. And if there's one player in Super League that I would believe, even a fraction, it would be Jake Connor. I mean, it was a highlight reel moment from the weekend, even though there was an element of luck attached to it.
Oh, I guarantee he was claiming it when he was chatting away. I absolutely guarantee. But yeah, there you go. But yeah, no, it was a way back into it because I thought, as you said, KR were they're taking their chances pretty well early on, and yeah, they deserved the kind of lead, although obviously they'd only got the one try. So yeah, it's slightly unlucky to go behind that way, but they kept pegging away. But yeah, kind of after kind of half an hour onwards, it got away from him with the Harris try, didn't they? With a couple of tries before half time, and 24-10, you think, yeah, KR they're not good enough to come back from that, really.
No, and
You felt they were away from it.
I sort of thought they weren't a million miles off the pace in the game in general, and the 34-22 scoreline probably was a little bit inflated. It felt more like a one score difference than a two score difference watching the game.
Yeah.
I think Kieran Moss took his hat trick really, really well, and I'm glad to see him getting a go in Super League because he definitely looks like a talented player whenever I've seen him play for either Bradford or York.
Yeah,
before now.
He's got the skill. He's definitely a fullback / winger. He's got that kind of vision.
Did he get much play at Bradford before?
Well, he did have a couple of injuries while he was with us, and he didn't really cement a spot. But yeah, when he got on the field, you looked at him and said, he's all right. He's good, and when we went down, he was definitely one of those players that we knew would get picked up by by another Super League club.
Yeah.
So the fact he ended up at KR was no massive surprise.
Inside him as well, Junior Vivai, he's definitely a dangerous player, but it's just as likely to knock on as he is to pull out a wonderful offload or a great barging run. So he's got to get his consistency up. And
He's
unfortunately
rocks
for
and
Hull,
diamonds, isn't he?
he got injured, and that didn't look good either. His knee injury did it. So there wasn't just Josh Griffin who got injured with a knee injury in this game. Then Jake Connor's try towards the end. I mean, great slicing run from Jake Connor. Is such a skillful and talented player. You've got to get closer to him than Hull KR were on that play.
Yeah, and I mean you can't, as much as you might want to clock him, you can't ignore the quality that he's got. But ultimately FC deserved it. You can't argue with it. But KR shouldn't be too downhearted. They showed glimpses. There's no need to panic too much about what's going on there.
No, and
because
I think if Maguire had played in this game, I still think they could have won this game. It wasn't they weren't embarrassed by it by any stretch of the imagination.
Oh God, no!
I felt
God,
no. The debutants that were mentioned there. We teased before. We'd talk a little bit more about Liam Harris. His try was really good stuff from him. A bit weak defense on him, but he made sure he used the surprise factor. I don't think anyone was expecting him to be quite as composed and controlled as he was throughout the game. So I was really quite impressed with that from the young player on his Super League debut. And Cameron Scott as well in the centres. You wouldn't have known that it was his first Super League game if it weren't for the number on his back and the relentless narrative that we're
yeah.
But so I was really impressed by him too. I actually think he was probably the better of the two centres. Kirk Yeaman was desperate to do something in the game, wasn't he? And he never quite did out.
I'm going to risk the ire of maybe some FC fans here, but my God, he was diabolical in my eyes. I kind of, he looked 18 months retired. He really did.
Yeah.
It's not like he's a prop where you basically say, you take that thing there and you go run at that big man over there. It's a complicated position, his centre, and while he's got the instincts there, the body isn't where it was 18 months ago, even, is it? It's tricky. He came in and obviously he answered a call and full credit to him for that, but. I do wonder if there wasn't somebody else maybe lurking in the academy somewhere that might have been a better option. Just for the future. You've got to blood these players eventually, and pulling a guy out of retirement is.
Well, I also thought the last 10 minutes or so, well, the last 15 minutes or so of the game, he was just desperate to leave some lasting mark on the game. So every time he got the ball, he wasn't going to do anything that wasn't either him scoring a try or him doing something a bit extraordinary, but he didn't seem capable of doing something extraordinary. And every time he didn't have the ball, he seemed keen to go a bit on. There was at one point in the game, I'm pretty sure that Liam Harris, that's his name, isn't it? Yeah, the young kid, the young halfback, was basically pushing him away from a scrum it was, and telling him to get into his proper position for the play that they want to run, rather than trying to be the man who gets the ball. So that was an interesting one. Whilst we're talking about centres, we'll finish this game on not really about the game, but Jake Connor was probably the man of the match. I think he was certainly one of the most entertaining players of the day on the second day as well. And although he's playing in the halves right at the moment, he can play anywhere in the back seven on the field, and he'll probably do a reasonable job in some of the pack positions. But what do you think about now that we've got the injury to Callum Watkins? Do you see Connor as an England international in the Denver test?
I suppose there's two ways to answer that. Do I see him potentially getting a selection? Yes. Would I have him in my team? No.
Fair enough. I
Um,
think I'd have
I,
him. I think he's playing really well and he's entertaining
no, no, no.
everyone. And
I have absolutely I have no problem with his physical abilities or his skills or anything like that. I just wouldn't. I would never have that gobshite anywhere near my team.
But I
Um,
think it might be quite interesting if you got him in a team environment with the players from the other teams. He might start getting on with them to the point where he's not quite as annoying when he's on the pitch, and one of the strings to his bow gets weakened.
I just think it's like inherent in him, and I don't, as you said, it's not. He hasn't always been like this.
Well, I
So
don't know. Maybe he was just maybe he was like doing
maybe he
less
just hit it.
prominent stuff, so you didn't notice it as much. And he was playing for Huddersfield, who don't get on TV as much and don't
Maybe.
play in as many high-profile games. Maybe I'm not sure. Right, in terms of the stats individually, Jamie Shaw 2 tries, 5 tackles, 100 meters, 3 successful offloads. Mickey Pyer 136 meters. Joe Westerman 1 try assist, 108 meters, and Seeker Manu 100 meters. For the losing KR side, Kieran Moss 3 tries, 5 tackles, 107 meters. Chris Atkin 132 meters, 3 clean breaks. Yeah, he made a few breaks, but then kind of looked for support and got caught, which is a bit of a shame. Junior Vivai 2 try assists, 106 meters. Adam Quinlan 1 try assist, 133 meters. Okay, in terms of the standings, what Magic Weekend has done to the table has seen St Helens stay top on 26 points, Wigan just behind on 24 with a game in hand. Warrington stay third on 20 points though, so slipping back in terms of the gap there. Hull FC and Castleford in 4th and 5th both have 18 points, so it's close to that final spot. Leeds a little bit adrift now in 6th on 15 points. Wakefield have 12 points in 7th place. Salford have 10 points in 8th place, but the real drama, especially from Sunday's games, was what's happened below them. Huddersfield are now just point outside the top 8 on 9 points. Catalan closed the gap too on 8 points in 10th place. Widnes are 11th and Hull KR dropped to bottom. They're both on 6 points. In terms of predictions and such like, I went 4 out of 6, but Tim for the co-hosts only went 3 out of 6, so it sees me extend my lead to an impressive
Yeah.
55 to your 50 as a team.
I'd just like to say, the last time I was on this show, co-hosts were leading by 1, and I feel I've been let down by my fellow
But the
co-hosts.
last
So
time you were on the show, that means you must have done some predictions that I overtook for the next week.
no, 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 no. That week, I seem to remember we both went 5 out of 6 or something like that.
Ah, right, okay. There
And
has been a few
yeah,
crazy calls.
it's
From a few.
it's Tim tipping his own
But
team.
I
That's the
went full
trouble.
KR, didn't I, as well? I changed my Super Brew to go for Hull FC during the week when Danny Maguire was out, but
Oh, you can't do
I marked
that.
myself on my prediction on the show for the purposes of the scores. In the Super Brew, James Hutchinson stays top, but someone called Lynn Van Wyk or Van Wyck
Van Wyk.
from
Van
South
Wyk? Beek?
Africa. Oh yeah, something like that. Wears the
Van
yellow
Beek.
cap, so well done to
It,
him.
he'll be Dutch.
Yeah, he does seem with that heritage. Dream team, Alan Bagley stays top, but Andrew Curry had 650 for the best weekend, so well done to Andrew. Okay, that wraps up the Magic weekend in its entirety. We've covered everything there in great depth, I'm sure. So we'll now move on to other results. Okay, in the championship it was round. Oh, I didn't write it down. Round 14, I think, in the championship. I think they were a round behind because of the extra Challenge Cup involvement. I'm not sure.
Let me just double check that for you.
Yeah, it was round 14.
Round 14, there you go.
So it's the championship started on Saturday lunchtime-ish at Magic Weekend, where we all saw Toronto win 43 points to 30 in a high-scoring game against Toulouse. We had a few views in on this one, unsurprisingly. Do you want to start with what Dave Cantrell had to say?
Yes, so Dave said, surrounded by Hull KR and Huddersfield fans, all of whom just assumed it would be a Toronto blowout and didn't believe me when I said how competitive the championship was this season. When Toronto pulled ahead, they were all, see, going to be 50 points. But as I predicted right at the start, Toulouse never made it easy. Didn't just fold and kept getting back into the game. A great advert for the championship.
Yeah, Martin Simpson said, interesting that there wasn't a video ref as it was deemed to be unfair on the other championship teams, yet it's okay to only use it at select Super League games. That before we read his bit about the game, that's an interesting point. But I would say it's possibly because it would be the only game